What's up, vinyl community? Cliff the Vinyl Cheapskate here, coming with my Friday drinking music. Tonight I've got a very special one. Real quick, I want to preface that I saw Yorp Shard do a video sort of similar to this, and it inspired me. I've been thinking about doing this for a little while. I'm going to do a label update on the record label Prank Records. But anyway, Yorp Shard did a video where he did Upstart Records, and I want you to check that video out too. I'll leave a link in the description below there. But I'm gonna do one of my favorites, Prank Records. I've loved Prank Records for a really long time. Really great label, came out of California in 1995. Came out of the whole Gilman Street era of crusty punk hardcore shows, and just really good D.I.Y. label that I think gets a little lumped in with people saying, oh, the Prank sound. Prank did for a little while have its own sound, and it was like this. And the band we're listening to right now, actually, this is D.I.Y. And D.I.Y. is a band from Atlanta, Georgia, or Savannah, Georgia, I think. But they're from Georgia, southern United States. But D.I.Y., this is an excellent record. Precursor to another band that got real popular, which also started out on Prank Records. But they got lumped into having their own sound. Like Prank Records, their bands had their own sound. And D.I.Y.'s one of the really good examples of that, where they really got lumped into this like dark, kind of heavy, sludgy hardcore. And like I said, D.I.Y., they moved on to become another band that got really big after that. And that's the band Kylesa. And Kylesa's first few records were actually on Prank Records. So this is my favorite Kylesa record by far. But Kylesa this was a lot more hardcore and a little more heavy like hardcore, like dark metal sounding stuff. And their later stuff got a little more like prog rocky, a little more prog influence in there. Still kind of kept like a stoner edge, like stoner heavy metal edge to it, but definitely not as heavy as the first one. This is their other one. This is an EP that they put out on Prank. This one's on green vinyl. It's a cool one. But yeah, man, Prank Records did a solid run of releases. They took a pretty long hiatus for a while in the 2000s. So they started in 95, and I don't know exactly when, but sometime in like the mid 2000s, I think they kind of took a hiatus and they didn't do anything for a really long time. But they came back like last year and really started putting more stuff out, kind of focusing a little more on like their represses of some of their older releases. But even that, it was well worth it, because some of their older releases were great, and I'm going to show a couple of those right now. Over the last couple years, they re-released a bunch of their older stuff, and I really think that it was well worth it. And one of them I don't think was a re-release of their older stuff, but I'll put that one up in here too. But they re-released a couple 7-inches, and they've been doing cool stuff. Like this 7-inch here, Gripple. I know they plan on doing re-releases of all the Gripple stuff, but Gripple's like a snotty, kind of crusty band. Really cool stuff. I'll do a needle drop on this one. I'm not going to do a needle drop on everything, but I'll do it on a couple select ones. But this was really cool, because what they did is they did a warehouse clean out last year sometime, and they repressed all these. They found a bunch of the old stickers from the 90s, and they put those in as pack-ins. So a couple cool, these are old stickers originally pressed in the 90s when this came out. And they put that in there. And they found a bunch of these ultra clear Gripple 7 inches that I guess they had extras that got packed away somewhere. And what they did was they just pressed new jackets for them. I think they said they had 50? No, they had 80 of them. They had 80 of them. And I think you either got clear or you would get a black one, but I got lucky, I got the ultra clear one. And they repressed the original jacket with color, because this was black and white on the original ones. But they put color on the original jackets, and this is like a super limited version of this 7-inch. But really cool. They did this in 2019. I think it was 2019 they did this. Really sick. And they did it with another record too, which I'm going to show now. And another thing that they did is they brought a lot in the early 90s. They also brought a lot of cool foreign bands to the United States for the first time. Like, I think that Prank did the first US Japanese hardcore band tour ever. They brought Asforts to the US for the first time ever. And I think they brought Gauze, but I think that got screwed up. I don't remember the story there. Except that they brought Gauze to the United States too. We'll get to that in a minute. I don't have any Asfort. I wish I did, but I don't. But this is another one where they did like a random... Like, they found a bunch of these in their warehouse. So what they did is they made these extra special, cool, colored versions of the original sleeves. And this one's got a big ass fold out, a bunch of stickers. Udis. Udis, bunch of stickers they sent in there. This is a big folds out real crazy. All the lyric sheets on the other side. Cool stuff. And they did a nice individual stamped label. I got number 62 out of 100. I only did 100 of these. Real sick. I don't remember if they repressed this or if they found these in the warehouse, but did a cool re-release of it, I'll call it. A re-release of it. Excellent stuff, though. This band's really fast. Finnish hardcore stuff. Tommy probably knows who these guys are, I'm sure. That's Tommy's Vinyl Knot. Check him out. But really sick, fast Finnish hardcore stuff right there. And then, like I said, they did a bunch of stuff where they brought... Well, alright, let's keep with the represses. I got a couple more represses to show. They repressed these complete and utter Swedish classics. Classics, like, mandatory, and they did the world a favor by bringing these back and just putting them back in the press. And these are both Totalitar records. And I got a black version of this guy. We'll show the insert and all that. But Totalitar plays like super fast, like really angry hardcore stuff. And I'm super excited to have this in my collection. And I really thought that finding Totalitar records was gonna be an impossibility until about 2 or 3 years ago when Prank decided that they're gonna start repressing all their stuff. Oh, this is where that went. This one also came with some giant Totalitar stickers. I'm probably gonna use one of these. They've just been staying in the record for now. And came with a lyric sheet, which I've got. Yeah, I can't read most of it. There's some of them in English, some of them not in English. Swedish. Really cool. And also sent me this awesome Slang poster, which is another Japanese band that they release records for. Really cool. And as for the next one, the Totalitar Nimas Bort. There's the back of it. Another stone cold classic record. If you like fast hardcore punk, this is the stuff to do it. On white vinyl, Totalitar, you can't go wrong with Totalitar. And they released one more. I have that one, but I didn't pull it because I don't want to show everything. But yeah, another lyric sheet. Sick stuff. They do some sick reissues. But yeah, let's throw on this Gripple 7-inch. Boom, Gripple, and we'll take a listen to that. All right. So now we got Gripple going on. Another cool. This is a little more on the less on the metal side, and this is one of their earlier releases. They did a lot more punky stuff in the early days. This is sick. Listen to this side, and then I'll put on another, whatever I'm talking about next. I'll put on. It's drinking music. Having a conversation. Drinking my one pumpkin beer for the year. The Lancaster Baked Pumpkin Ale. This is a good one. Pumpkin ales can get a little extra spicy. I don't really dig that too much, but this one's good. Not too much, not too little. Nice, sweet after finish. It's nice. All right. So next up, speaking of the earlier days, Prank did a lot more punky stuff in the early days. And then they moved more into the hardcore and started working towards what people would call the Prank sound. And one of the first bands I ever heard that was on Prank Records that was definitely what I think solidified what people said was the Prank sound. This band here. His Hero's Gone. Sick band. Super heavy. Really rooted in hardcore, but like has grind and metal and everything all mixed in. These guys, I have more of their records. Like I said, I'm not showing all the records by every band, but my two favorite. This is my favorite record by these guys. His Hero's Gone, 15 Counts of Arson. And what this record did really well is really conveyed like angsty anger really well, and did a great job. I don't know if the labels are upside down, but that's what we're looking at. Purple vinyl. And this came out in the late 90s. But really sick. Heavy stuff. Like I said, one of my favorites is Hero's Gone. Really like changed. One of those bands where like you listen to them and it completely changes everything that you think you knew about what awesome music was. And this is definitely one of those bands. And the other thing about His Hero's Gone, I feel like they really changed the trajectory of what a bunch of the hardcore bands at the time were doing. Because after His Hero's Gone, they went on to form Tragedy. And I feel like Tragedy changed the way 2000s, it really brought in the 2000s hardcore, punk, hardcore mix of sounds. Really did, at least in my brain when I think about it, they really did make a big dent and got really popular and brought that to more people. But yeah, Zero's Gone, excellent, really influential band, I think. Kind of gets swept under the rug a bunch, but I really think for a lot of hardcore heavy metal guys, or heavy metal, like extreme metal, hardcore guys, this was a beginning for a lot of people. I think I'm going to throw this on next. We're going to listen to some His Heroes Gone real quick. Put on one side of this 7-inch here, and then I'll be right back. Now for the next part of this Prank Records spotlight. As I was saying, His Heroes Gone, I feel like, and Tragedy feel like really set up what the early 2000s sounded like a lot of. And here's another band that I put right up there with His Heroes Gone. Death Threat. Also, Billy, the other half of Tragedy. This had Paul and Todd Burdett, who were huge, went on to a million different projects. I'll get to that in another video, I think. I think I'm going to do a Todd Burdett video sometime, because they're some of my favorite musicians, put out some of my favorite music. But Death Threat. Billy from Death Threat went on to do From Ashes Rise, Tragedy. A bunch of the really influential bands from the early 2000s, and Death Threat was the beginning. Todd Burdett was also in Death Threat too. That's right, he played drums. But super sick band. This is more fast, thrashy, hardcore stuff, but really, really rooted in that like straightforward hardcore sound. Got a nice yellow label. Skull riding a skateboard, of course. But these guys really, I think, were one of the different bands. They didn't have that straightforward Prank Record sound that everybody talks about. And they did a split with this band, Talk Is Poison, which I just wanted to bring up because I really like this band, and I think that they're a little under the radar stuff. Really good, cool time changes in this band's music. Really interesting like song structures and stuff going on. There's the basic ass labels. But another one I feel like I really, really fell in love with back in the day, and I really, really still enjoy listening to them now. But that's another one. Talk Is Poison. This has a nice lyric sheet. This Talk Is Poison side. Death Threat side. But yeah, man. Step my eyes. Yeah, that's a classic right there. Which I think I'll put Talk Is Poison on next, because it's one that doesn't get brought up too much, and I think it's a good segue. And it's not a good segue into the next part, but yeah, I wanted to cover them. Really good. Talk Is Poison. Put those on next. This will be the next one I put on, this guy right here. I think I'll put the B-side on. I like the B-side a little better on this one. It's the labels. It's on black vinyl. This one also has a nice little insert. All right. Now let's go put on some Talk Is Poison. It's Talk Is Poison. Talk Is Poison. Talk in Poison. And listen to me. Talk Is Poison. Excellent hardcore from this time period. The southern stuff. I think these guys are southern. These guys might not be. But excellent hardcore stuff. Raging stuff right here. Vocals sound similar to Death Threat, but it's not the same guy. So that's another little facet of what Prank Records does. What did we cover? We covered the represses, we covered the sound, which this is also considered prank record sound. Kind of a mishmash, but in a good way. Really well done. Now let's go into prank, helping to bring Japanese hardcore to this side of the ocean. And we'll start off with gauze. Now I'm not 100%. I think they did bring gauze once, and they meant to bring them. They're going to bring them back for a second. Somebody correct me if I got this lore wrong. But they put out one gauze LP. And gauze is a classic hardcore band stemming from the 80s to now. They're still putting out records. They put out a CD this year. So I think they've been going on 40 years now. I think they started in 1980. Again, let me know if I'm wrong. Gauze is one of my favorite bands. So if I'm wrong, I want to know. But this is Prank Records Gauze LP. I can't read the kanji, so don't expect me to. This is excellent. Both of these, they put out 2 gauze records on the Prank. This is one of them. And this is one where you can find the OGs pretty cheap, I think. Lyric sheet. This song fucking shreds. And they put out this 7-inch, which might be my favorite output by Gauze. This the Prank 7-inch that they did. I just love it. It's so catchy and fast and good. Awesome layout on this one. But Gauze rules, and any record label that's like, I'm gonna put out a Gauze record, and then it actually happens. Hell yes. Great band. One of the best, one of the greatest of all time. One of the GOATs, in my opinion. But yeah, put out a Gauze record. Can't go wrong with that. Another record they put out, and this one I think was more recent. I'm not sure when this originally came out. I'm pretty sure it got a repress. But another band they put out records by is this band here, Paintbox. I'm gonna do a needle drop on this. Paintbox. This one's a little funky. They went for like a psychedelic, like super psychedelic look to this album. But what it kind of sounds like is like there's some psychedelic kind of like dirgy parts, but it's not super psychedelic. I feel like this is more like there's a lot of pop punk in this album, in my opinion. But I'm gonna put this on. I might start with the second half, the B-side, because this is a double LP, and it's on nice yellow vinyl. I'm pretty sure this is a repress, and I can't for the life of me tell you when this got put out. Again, anybody knows, let me know in the comments if you know when this got put out. But yeah, I think I'll put this on next. We're going to listen to some Paintbox. We'll end it with some Japanese hardcore. This will be my last needle drop for the night, I think. But yeah, let's throw on some Paintbox. Alright, so now we're going to do some Paintbox. And like I said, kind of a weird album. They do some like kind of trippy. This isn't really that trippy. This kind of sounds like a heavy metal ballad with a lot of reverb. This album also came with a lyric sheet and a poster. Big old lyric sheet. Cool pictures on there. And it came with a poster. Now, last one, another Japanese band that Prank, I feel like, helped introduce to the United States, and that's a thing that I really want to point out. I really feel like between these guys and, like, I guess Drop Dead too, Drop Dead, Armageddon label Drop Dead, they really brought, and I feel like Drop Dead did it more in like a like tape trade type of way, and they did a lot of CDs and stuff like that too. But Prank released a lot of good old Japanese stuff. And what they did, they just released a bunch. This is Crow from Japan, and they were a band from like the late 80s, early 90s. And then Prank started putting out their stuff from like the early 2000s. And I feel like that really helped spread the word on how good some of this Japanese hardcore stuff was. And Crow plays more like a very metallic, almost like amoebic tinged, some D-beat in there. They really play a really complex style of hardcore. And they really do, I think they sound a lot like them. Like nobody sounds like these guys. And Crow's one of my favorite Japanese hardcore bands. So they really helped out by putting that stuff out and really brought to light a lot of people how good Japanese hardcore really was. It's another one that they did, another 7-inch by Crow. Maybe we'll end with Crow and I'll just leave it for a minute. White vinyl. And Eric Bauer just showed that record that I'm very jealous of. And that is not a cheapie. And these ones are Prank. That's another thing. Prank released a lot of these records, and they're still reasonably affordable for the most part. They also released this full length here. This one's a picture disc version. I'm not telling you the names of the albums because they're all in kanji, so. But what you see is what you get on this one. This is just behind, and this is the same thing that's on the picture disc. And this came out in the early 2000s. Licensed Crow Records. But yeah, excellent stuff. This one's really apocalyptic and dark sounding. I love this record. Excellent stuff. But Crow, you should definitely pick up some Crow. Maybe we'll play this. We'll play this to end it. I thought I was going to play this to end it, but we'll play this to end it. Last but not least, they put out, this came out in 2020, and it was one that I was real jealous because I found out about it late, and it comes with a nice Obi, but I found out about this late, and I was real pissed off because I wanted it so bad, and I missed the pre-order, and it was impossible to find forever, and luckily, they re-released it, and I ended up, well, no, actually, they re-released it, but I had already found this somewhere else. I got lucky, somebody had a copy, and then they re-released it, like, 2 weeks later, and I could have pre-ordered it again. But, comes with a nice stamped, and that's love and care right there. Individually stamped each freaking inner sleeve. Crow logo guy. Pretty sick. Came with a giant, well, that's the lyric sheet. That's English lyric sheet. This is just like a promo sheet. Came with a big Japanese lyric sheet. And it came with like the biggest. It came with a bunch of Crow stickers. One of them's on my record player. But it came with the biggest sticker I've ever seen come with a record. Freaking, it's like the size of a 7-inch. And I also got this other Crow sticker. All came with the record. All in all, this is a sick record, a classic. It's early '89, I think this came out, so it's an 80s hardcore record. Really raw production on this one, but that's kind of the charm of this album, is that raw production on the Crow record here, this Crow record at least, and very excellent, classic stuff. And in conclusion, I think Prank Records, very good record label. Everything they did is quality stuff. They put out so many records. Still, I'm working on collecting as many as I can. I'll put it that way. They put out some classics. They put out a bunch of Christ on Parade stuff that I really, really want. And that's like West Coast, like fast, in-your-face hardcore, kind of like Crucifix a little bit, like that style of hardcore, and I fucking love that. Great band. They put out some World Burns to Death records, which is another band that's great. I have a couple, but I don't think they were the Prank ones, so I didn't pull them. But excellent stuff. And I wanted to say thanks for coming, guys. Cheers. Friday Drinking Music. Another one bites the dust. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of, leave you guys with a touch more Japanese hardcore. I'm going to run one of these Crow records for you. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for checking me out.